So this is going to be a quick demonstration and explanation for the new features available in 0.4. So you would start up Enchanted and then go to the ESP that you would find the armor or weapon in, and then go to armor or weapon. In general, this assumes that you have enough knowledge of Enchanted to do that. If you do not, there is an explanation of how to install and then get to this point in the previous video, so I would refer you to that. So once you get to your record, whatever you want to run this on, and you can run it on multiple records if you'd like, you would right click the record and then go down to apply script, and you would go to this bar, look at the drop down, and then roll through this list until you find the generate enchanted version script. With it selected, you just press OK. It will bring you to the new UI for 0.4. So just to go through these one by one, this is an editable box for what ESP the output will go into. So for all of the different leveled lists, it would output to whatever ESP is in here, and I recommend that you use this ESP. I would definitely not recommend that you output to whatever ESP that the item is in. The reason that you want to use the custom ESP is because in order to get all the different object effects to work with the item, each mod that the object effects are in needs to be added as a master to whatever plugin the versions generate to. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, then you should probably just leave it as a default. It means that the ESP that this outputs to has to be at the bottom of your load order, below the item, below the mod that the item comes from, and all other enchantment mods. So, highly recommend that you leave that be. But if you would like to output it, you know what you're doing, then you can just edit this box, and it will output to that plugin. And if a plugin doesn't exist by that name, whatever name you've input into this box, it will create a new plugin. So, moving on down the line, we have allow on enchanting, and with this checkbox checked, right, normal default behavior, you'll be able to go up to an unenchanting table in Skyrim and disenchant the item, and you will have that enchantment available to enchant other items, just like you would do a normal vanilla. It's the normal vanilla functioning. But if you want to not be able to do that, if you don't want people to be able to disenchant the item, if you want to make it super powerful and only have it drop in leveled lists, or for whatever reason, you could uncheck this. But as a general rule, leaving these checkboxes checked is the default behavior. So this is what replaces the original item with the % chance for a leveled list. So what this will do with this checkbox checked is it will go through all of the leveled lists that reference the original item, right? In this case, this test pair of armor boots. And it will replace the test pair of armor boots with an enchanted list with a 10% version for an enchanted item and a 90% chance to get the regular item. So this is the chance for the enchanted version. So this stops the box from prompting you every record. So if you want to run this on a whole bunch of records, like say all of immersive armors or weapons of a third era, if you just want to let it run and then walk away from the screen, you just leave this checked. This doesn't slow it down. This is just the normal default behavior. But if you want it to prompt you every time, you can unclick this. So it's difficult to miss, but there is another checkbox here. If you uncheck this, then it will not create the % chance. It will just have the regular list. But with this check, the default behavior is that it will create a % chance list, just like I've described above, with a 10% chance to get an enchanted version of this item and a 90% chance to get the regular item. This right here is editable, so if you want to edit it to 50, 25, anywhere in between 0 and 100% chance, you can, and it will run with whatever is in the box whenever you press OK. This is as is described the enchantment strength. 100% is just a 1.0 multiplier on the enchantment strength. It's whatever comes off the object effect. If you would like to make it super powerful, you can go up to 500, and if you want to make it underpowered, you can go down to 50. Any range should work. So one of the other really neat features in 0.4 is that because this runs at the bottom of your load order and needs so many masters, it can be very difficult to keep that straight. And if you want to remove a mod from your load order, it's highly likely that if you use this script, most mods are going to be dependent on, or this plugin, this custom armor or custom leveled lists will be dependent on whatever you're removing. And previously you would have to go through and either remove all of the different records that were dependent on that mod, or you would have to run the enchantments again. What this does is it allows you to remove a master from the mod, so you can remove it from your load order. So in better English, this simply means if you want to remove any of these mods from your load order, you'll need to run the script with that mod loaded first, then use the remove to remove the mod from this list, and then remove it from your load order. So you don't have to run this a whole bunch of times again. And the way that would work is you just click remove, you look in the leveled list, or in the drop down, and you would pick something. So this is just an example. And you would click add, and there's a list that will generate here. You can add multiple masters to this list, and it will run on all of them. And you can remove things from the list just like you would normally expect it to work. But whenever I click this button, right, we see right here, it's here. Whenever I click this button, it's going to remove this ESP. Now, I should be able to exit and then remove it from my load order. But just to check, if I click remove again, and then I look at this box, it's no longer present, which means that it's no longer a master of this file, which means it's safe to remove from your load order. If you want to remove things from your load order, you get an error. That's how you remove them from the masters of this mod. And if you don't, it's not hard-coded to custom leveled lists. If you change this, it will look at whatever mod is in this blank, right? So if you change this to whatever mod you've output it to, and then you click remove, it should still be able to remove masters from whatever plugin happens to be in this box. So that covers all of the new features in 0.4. I'm going to quickly describe some other things that have gone on in the background, and then after that I'm going to look at some output. But if you're a normal user and you don't care about the technicals, this is fine to turn it off now. You just need to click the OK and it should run. You should never have to look at the output or worry about anything like that. It should simply run. What is going on in the background for 0.4 is that there had been some issues with the way that tempering worked, and it will make a lot more sense to show that visually, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to look at the reference by tab. This is after the script has run, so as you can see there's a whole bunch of different enchantments that have been generated, and this is the tempering record. And the way that enchanted versions normally work is that you will have an enchanted version, and then right down here in the template will be the original item, and it will use the original item's tempering. It will now do this properly, where previously it had created a tempering for each and every item, which is very inefficient and not the right way to do it. So now it will correctly reference the base item for tempering, and the tempering, the script will automatically create a tempering record for the base item if one does not exist, right? Because this did not originally have a tempering record, it will create a new one. And the way that works is that it will first look for keywords. And if we look at the view tab here, this has armor material iron, which is a keyword that the tempering recognizes, and will, if we look at the tempering record, you can see that there's an iron ingot required to temper it. Now, if it doesn't recognize the keywords, if there's a custom keywords, mod added keywords, so on and so forth, if it doesn't recognize something, then it will look at the relevant value for the base item. In the case of a piece of armor, it will look at the armor rating, and it will find a comparable vanilla item. And by this I mean that if it has iron level armor, it will use an iron level item is a template. So if it has iron level armor, it would use iron boots as a template. And if it's an iron level sword, it would use iron sword as a template, and so on and so forth, up to ebony or daedric. And once it has that template, it will use that in order to create the tempering record. And in fringe cases, this can be immersion breaking, because if you have a mod added sword that's obviously made out of steel, it looks like it's made out of steel, but it has ebony level damage, then it would, if it does not have a keyword, generate a tempering record with ebony as the requirement, because it's an ebony level thing. And this is to preserve game balance and not to make it too easy for overpowered items. But if you have an issue with that, you can always come in and fix this by hand. It's not difficult. You would just edit this and then put in the steel ingot if that bothers you. Or you can simply add the correct keyword to the base item. But most weapon and armor mods in Nexus will have a recognizable keyword associated with the item. It's a standard thing to do. It's only a fringe case that would happen, but it makes it to where it will 100% support an item no matter where it comes from, which is one of the big goals for this mod. Other than that, we have the chance leveled lists, and what this is that it has it will do integer values, which is whole numbers in between 0 and 100. Well, I guess 1 and 99 technically. And the way that it does this is you have 10 entries here, and then you have a nested deal of 10 entries. And if you think about this, right, this is a 10% chance to get the regular item. And because this should run on 5%, this is 5 different items of the enchanted list, and then 5 different items from the original. So altogether, if we think about this in terms of math, that's 1 divided by 10 multiplied by 1 divided by 2, which will give you the 5% chance that you're looking for. If that doesn't make sense, it doesn't necessarily need to. It just means that, so if this was 10%, this would just be the enchanted list. It wouldn't be the nested list. And then inside the next, there would be no nested list. If it's 15% chance, then there will be one instance of the regular list, and then another instance of the nested list with 5 entries of the enchanted version, and then 5 entries of the normal version, which would give you a 15% chance, and so on and so forth. And that's so you don't end up with lists with 100 or 1,000 entries to get it right. It makes it much more manageable to look through if you're looking through the output. So that should cover all of the different features in 0.4. If you see anything out of the ordinary, if you would like to see support for a different enchanted item set or a different kind of weapon or armor, anything like that, just if you have thoughts even, just make a post, and I'm generally able to reply to everyone on the mod page within a couple of days. And I'm looking to support this and looking for ideas. So if you have an idea or anything like that, just post it on the mod page, and I will let you know what I think. Thanks for using the mod, and